Okay, so today we're looking at online gaming, but not the games themselves.
Right.
More like the stuff that makes them legit to actually run, the licenses. Specifically, we're going to be diving into Curaçao gaming licenses.
Yes.
You know, you mentioned you wanted a clearer picture of this whole licensing thing, and honestly, it's kind of crucial to the whole iGaming scene.
Yeah.
Our aim here is to break it all down and give you, those key takeaways.
For sure. I think whether you're already in iGaming or, just interested in how these platforms actually work legally,
Yeah.
getting a grip on licensing, especially from a big player like Curaçao, is pretty essential.
Yeah.
It really is the foundation for compliance, and it kind of impacts everything from their legal status to partnering up.
Right.
And being 2025 now, understanding this stuff is super important, whether you're thinking of getting a license or just want to get a feel for the whole landscape.
Right. Okay, so starting with the basics, why does a gaming company even need a license? It seems like a pretty big first step.
It is a significant undertaking, but it's also the foundation of running a legit operation. I mean, simply put, a license shows you're playing by the rules. Operating without one, huge red flag. Opens you up to some serious legal problems.
I see. It's like a stamp of approval, a way to build trust.
Exactly. It's all about operating above board and showing you're serious.
Right. So, if a company's looking to get into the game, how does picking the right license affect their long-term goals?
It's not just about checking a box to be legal. It actually shapes the entire future of a platform.
Okay.
It dictates where they can legally operate. It affects their ability to work with reputable game developers, payment processors.
Yeah.
Ultimately defines their potential for growth.
Right.
The right license, it's like a key, unlocks so many opportunities, but the wrong one, it can really hold them back.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Curaçao is a name that always seemed to come up in conversations about online gaming. First off, where exactly is it, and how did it become such a major hub?
So geographically, Curaçao is an island in the Caribbean. It's part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands.
Right.
Just off the coast of Venezuela, it's actually the southernmost Dutch territory.
Interesting.
Now, economically, they have their things: financial services, tourism, oil refining. But online gaming, it's become a real powerhouse for them.
Really?
Especially in recent years. We're talking serious growth, fast.
So they have ties to the Netherlands, but they also operate with a fair bit of independence.
Exactly. Strong ties with the Netherlands, but they also have their own autonomy.
Okay.
Historically, Curaçao has built a name for itself as an offshore financial center.
Right.
And a gaming center, partly because their licensing requirements were seen as a bit more accessible compared to other places.
Gotcha. That takes us to the previous licensing system you mentioned, which was around from 1996 to 2023. Can you break down how that worked?
Sure. The old system had two tiers, essentially. At the top, you had master licenses.
Yeah.
These were granted by the Ministry of Justice, lasted for 5 years, and the kicker was that they let holders give out sub-licenses to other operators.
Oh, I see.
And below them, you had the sub-licenses given out by those master license holders.
Right.
And they'd stay valid as long as the master license was still active.
Okay, that sounds kind of complicated, like a web of licenses. What were the main problems with that setup?
Well, the biggest issue was there were only 4 master license holders.
Only 4.
Just 4. So you had a situation where a whole bunch of gaming companies relied on these 4 entities for their license.
Right.
And this could lead to inconsistencies in how different operators were managed,
I see.
Not everyone playing by the same rules, so to speak.
So that brings us to 2023 and the huge changes that happened. What led to this big overhaul?
Basically, the Dutch government wanted to boost Curaçao's reputation on a global level.
Okay.
And strengthen the regulations in their online gaming sector.
Right.
It was a push for more transparency, accountability, basically aligning more with international standards.
So a big cleanup operation, basically.
Yeah, you could say that.
What were the key features of this new era for Curaçao gaming licenses?
Several big changes. First off, they completely ditched the master sub-license system.
Right.
Every operator now has to apply directly for an independent license from the regulatory body.
So no more middleman.
Nope, all direct. And speaking of the regulatory body, they set up the Curaçao Gaming Authority.
The CGA.
The CGA, exactly.
Right.
They took over from the old Gambling Control Board, the GCB.
Okay.
And there was also this huge emphasis on compliance with international standards, more transparency in how things are run, and a big focus on responsible gaming.
So raising the bar, making sure everything's legit and ethical.
Right, all to boost the credibility of Curaçao licenses internationally. And lastly, they're moving the whole licensing process online.
Digital, huh?
Digital, yep. More efficient, and it helps to, cut down on any shady stuff.
Makes sense. So where do we stand now in early 2025? Are these new regulations in full swing?
As of now, March 2025, things are still in transition.
So it's a moving target right now.
Yeah, you could say that. Getting a new master license under the old rules is basically impossible.
Right.
But the new law, the National Ordinance for Games of Chance...
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's called the LOC for short. Think of it as the big rule book for online gaming in Curaçao.
Gotcha.
So the LOC did come into effect back in September 2024.
Okay.
But the full implementation and how it all works in practice, well, that's still unfolding.
I see.
So we might see some tweaks and adjustments as the new system settles in.
Yeah, you mentioned this new law, the LOC. What are the main things it brings to the table?
The LOC officially makes the CGA the boss, the central authority for handing out licenses, and they do it under a new fee structure.
Oh.
They even launched a new application portal back on November 15th, 2023.
Oh, wow.
You can find it on the GCB website.
Right.
Any existing sublicense holders from the old system can register through it.
Yeah.
There's about a 12-month transition period for them to adjust to the new rules.
So they have some time to get up to speed?
Yeah, and in the meantime, they'll get a transitional license so they can keep operating while they adjust.
Right. It sounds like the requirements are definitely getting tougher now.
Yeah, the bar is higher, for sure. One big change is the mandatory local presence in Curaçao.
Okay, what's that all about?
Basically, companies need to have a physical office on the island
Interesting.
and employ at least one director and 3 full-time staff members locally.
So no more virtual offices, they have to be there on the ground?
Right, boots on the ground in Curaçao. Then they've also massively ramped up their anti-money laundering regulations, so AML.
So stricter checks for money laundering.
Yeah, much more thorough and frequent compliance checks for everyone holding a license.
That's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And there's also a new annual license fee. It's set at ANG 120,000,
Okay.
which translates to about 62,500 euros.
Right, so there are financial implications as well.
Definitely. It's a shift, from being just about low costs to something more focused on long-term sustainability and international standards.
So it's becoming more demanding, but also more reputable.
Exactly.
Okay, so who are the big players in all of this? Who keeps an eye on the gaming industry in Curaçao?
So you've got the Curaçao Gaming Authority, the CGA, the main regulator like we talked about.
Right, they're the ones handing out the licenses.
Yep, and making sure everyone's playing by the rules. Then there's the Curaçao Financial Intelligence Unit,
Okay.
the FIU. They're all about AML and counterterrorism financing regulations.
So they're the financial watchdogs.
You got it. They used to be called the Meldpunt Onbruikelijke Transacties, but now it's FIU.
Catchy.
Yeah, and of course you have the Ministry of Finance. They're involved in economic policy and taxes related to gaming.
So a whole team working together.
Yeah, and the overall aim of all these changes, it's about raising the profile of Curaçao licenses, making them more respected internationally.
So it's not just about being easy to get anymore, it's about being a mark of quality.
Exactly, moving away from that low barrier image.
All right, with all these changes, stricter rules, higher costs, why would a company even consider getting a Curaçao license now? What are the benefits in 2025?
Well, while Curaçao licenses might have been seen as easy to get in the past,
Right.
these new regulations, they actually offer something different, something valuable, especially for businesses that want long-term credibility, especially in a sensitive field like iGaming.
So the game's changed.
It has. One big advantage is recognition, Curaçao licenses are widely recognized by players, by partners.
Right, it builds trust.
Exactly.
Yep.
It fosters trust, and these stricter regulations, they just add to that credibility.
Okay, what about the scope of operation? Does a Curaçao license restrict where you can offer your services or the types of games you can have?
Generally, a Curaçao license lets you operate in most countries.
Okay.
There are a few exceptions, like the USA, Germany, France, Australia.
Big ones.
Yeah, the Netherlands, and even Curaçao itself.
Makes sense.
But this gives you a lot of flexibility when you're planning your global strategy.
Right, you're not boxed in.
And unlike some places that give you separate licenses for different types of games,
Okay.
a Curaçao license usually covers a whole range: slots, lotteries, live dealer games, bingo, sports betting, you name it.
So one license to do it all.
Yep, that's the beauty of it. It makes expanding and trying new things so much easier.
So it's very versatile.
And we can't forget the online gaming market itself. It's booming worldwide.
It really is.
It's a huge opportunity for platforms that operate legally and, target the right audience.
Absolutely. Are there any other perks to getting a Curaçao license these days?
Of course, having a recognized license brings legal security.
Right. Peace of mind.
It can also make it easier to get banking services like merchant accounts.
Oh, that can be tough for some operators.
It can be a real headache. And the enhanced credibility we talked about,
Yeah.
it does wonders for your brand and can open doors to partnerships with big game developers and payment processors.
So it's not just about ticking boxes, it's about building a solid foundation. Okay, so it can't all be sunshine and roses. What are some of the downsides, the things that are still a bit uncertain?
Well, with any new regulations, there are always some uncertainties.
Right.
There's the chance of policy changes, more legislation coming down the line as the system matures.
So it's still evolving.
It is. There's also been a bit of a lack of detailed guidings from the authorities.
Not ideal.
It can make things a bit tricky for applicants, and we might see some volatility in the market until everything settles down.
So it's a bit of a wait-and-see situation.
Yeah, kinda.
So let's say someone wants to go for it and apply for a Curaçao license now. What's the process like under this updated system?
First things first, you need to register your company in Curaçao.
Right.
You'll need to set up a local legal entity, have a proper structure.
Okay.
Then you'll need to gather a whole bunch of documents, detailed information about your company, your management team, the platform you're running, the games you offer.
So it's pretty thorough.
It is. You'll need things like IDs, platform plans, proof of your funding, the whole 9 yards.
So there's like a lot of paperwork.
It can be, but once you've got everything, you submit it all online through their portal.
Huh?
It's on the GCB website for now, and soon it'll be directly on the CGA website.
Right.
You'll need to pay a fee, of course, and then the review process takes about 2 months.
2 months. Not too bad.
But that could change as the system develops. And finally, if you get approved, you need to set up your operations, which includes technical audits of your website, servers, the whole platform before you can actually launch.
So even after you get the license, there's still work to do.
Definitely making sure everything's up to par.
Okay, so before even thinking about applying, what are the absolute essentials a company needs to have in place?
All right, a few must-haves. First, your company needs to be legally incorporated in Curaçao.
Okay.
You need at least one local representative and a director based there.
Right, so a real presence in Curaçao.
Absolutely. You'll need a detailed list and description of all the games you plan to offer.
Every single one.
Yep. And your website needs to have clear and complete terms of use accessible to everyone.
No fine print shenanigans.
Nope. Transparency is key. And you'll need to prove that you own the domain name.
Okay.
Another big one, you have to host your platform services on at least one server physically located in Curaçao.
So no overseas servers.
Not for the main operation, no. And of course, you need strong AML protocols and procedures.
To check all players for money laundering.
Right, gotta make sure everyone's playing fair. Your gaming platform will also need to pass a technical audit, making sure everything's stable, secure, and fair.
So the software gets scrutinized too.
Oh yeah, they're thorough. And the games themselves, especially the random number generators.
The RNGs.
The RNGs, they need to be certified by an approved agency.
To ensure they're truly random.
Exactly. And lastly, you need systems to stop anyone under 18, U.S. residents and residents of the Dutch Antilles from registering or using your platform.
Restricted area.
Right. It's all about compliance and responsible gaming.
Okay, it sounds like you need to have your ducks in a row before even starting the application.
It's not a walk in the park, that's for sure.
So, talking about the application itself, what specific documents should an applicant expect to gather?
All right, get ready for a long list. You'll need your basic personal and company documents.
Okay, like what?
Passport copies, another form of ID, birth certificates, recent utility bills, or bank statements to prove your address.
So the standard stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. You also need police clearances, CVs of your key people and compliance officers, bank references, professional references, the works.
Making sure everyone's legit.
Right. Then you'll need stuff related to your gaming company.
Like?
Proof of domain ownership, a full description of your games, your website's terms of use, appointment letters for key personnel, a clear explanation of where your funding comes from, and documents to back it all up.
So they want to know everything.
Pretty much. They're
Yeah.
thorough. And on top of all that, there are 3 forms you have to fill out.
3 forms.
Yeah, you can usually download them from the CGA website.
Okay.
The online gaming application form, the business and corporate information form, and the personal history disclosure form.
So they leave no stone unturned.
Nope, they want to make sure they know exactly who they're dealing with.
Okay, once you've gathered this mountain of paperwork and submitted it, what happens next?
All right, so the review process is pretty detailed. They'll check everything you sent to make sure it's all legal, complete, meets the requirements.
Right, dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Exactly. They'll also look at your company's finances, your shareholders, your AML procedures, the whole shebang.
I'm sure everything's above board.
Yep. And they'll scrutinize your platform, the technical side, the software, security protocols, everything.
So it's not just paperwork. They're really digging into the platform itself.
Oh, yeah. They might even do on-site inspections in Curaçao or have video calls with your team.
Okay, so they're serious about this.
They are. And if you pass all these checks, you'll get your license. It's usually valid for 1 year initially, and then you can operate legally within Curaçao.
So it's a big commitment, but you get that official recognition.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk money now. What are the costs involved, the taxes, all the financial stuff that comes with a Curaçao license? You know, it's often been seen as a more affordable option.
Yeah, that's been part of the appeal. The corporate income tax is still pretty attractive, just 2% on your net profits.
Not bad at all.
And they're generally pretty transparent with their fees.
That's good.
No hidden surprises. Now, if we compare the old system, the LBH, with the new one, the LOC, we do see some changes.
Okay, like what?
Well, under the old system, there wasn't an application fee for a master license.
Okay.
But with the new one, since 2024, there's a fee of ANGI 9,000, which is about 4,600 euros.
So that's a new cost.
Yeah. There's also a new due diligence fee for each person involved in the application, ranging from ANGI 250 to 500, which is about 130 to 260 euros.
So more individual checks, more costs.
Right. But on the flip side, the monthly fee has actually gone down from ANGI 7,000 to 4,000.
Okay, so some things are cheaper.
Yeah. But the annual fee has gone up from ANGI 36,000 to 48,000.
So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
It is. And the domain fees have changed too. Before, you got up to 40 domains included.
Okay.
Now it's unlimited, but you pay ANGI 500 per domain every year.
So it depends on how many domains you need.
Exactly.
So overall, are we looking at a significant increase in costs for operators?
Let's see. Roughly speaking, the old system, based on a master license and not including sub-license fees, would have cost you around 63,000 euros per year.
Okay.
Based on the new system, the low-K, we estimate it to be closer to 55,000 euros annually.
So actually a bit cheaper.
Yeah, potentially, but keep in mind, these are just estimates.
Right.
They can change depending on your specific operation, especially how many domains you have.
Okay.
And these estimates don't even include other expenses you'll have.
Like what?
Company registration, fees for a local representative, legal stuff, secretarial services, address fees, getting a local ISP, data backups, all that.
So those add up.
They do. It's best to get a bundled price from a reputable service provider in Curaçao, just to get a clear idea of the total cost.
So it's worth shopping around.
Definitely.
Okay, so to sum it all up, with all these changes and the evolving online gaming landscape, is a Curaçao gaming license still a good option in 2025?
Absolutely. Even with the regulatory reforms, the stricter requirements, Curaçao is still a major player in the licensing game.
So they're adapting.
They are. The demand for online entertainment is skyrocketing globally, you know?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
More people online, the rise of crypto payments, iGaming is going mainstream.
It's the future.
It is. In the gaming market, it's a cash cow. We're talking solid growth year after year.
And Curaçao's right in the middle of it.
They are. And while the rules are getting tougher, it's actually making things better, more professional, more transparent, more legitimate.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, you could say that. And let's not forget those attractive tax rates. Still just 2% corporate income tax, which is way better than some other places.
That's a big plus.
It is. And the application costs are still manageable. The approvals are fairly quick.
So it's still competitive.
Definitely. Curaçao is in the Caribbean, strong ties to the Netherlands, but they have their own autonomy. Their economy is booming, partly thanks to online gaming, and they're making big changes to their regulations, raising the bar for everyone.
It's a new era for Curaçao gaming.
It is.
Okay, so for our listeners, the big takeaways here are that Curaçao is still a key player in online gaming licenses. They're making big changes to improve things.
Yeah.
And while getting a license is getting tougher, it's all about making Curaçao a more trusted and respected place to operate.
Absolutely.
Whether you're part of the iGaming world or just curious about how it works, you need to understand these changes.
You do. It's a dynamic industry. Things are always moving.
And on that note, here's something for everyone to think about. With this global push for more regulation in online gaming, how can places like Curaçao attract new businesses while also making sure players are protected and everyone's following the rules internationally?
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
It is, but it's something to consider as we move forward in this exciting and ever-changing digital world.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Curaçao gaming licenses. We really appreciate you sharing your insights and engaging in this important conversation.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.